Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is time to come your way with the online pregnancy school. I'm sure everyone is doing well and also keeping safe. You know, this pandemic is still with us, unfortunately, one thing after the other, but we know that our God will come through for us. So very soon, we'll all be okay. But please remember to keep to all the protocols. Don't lose your guard, please. Make sure that the members of your families are also adhering to every protocol in place. It is important. For those of you who have been joining us, we say a very big thank you. And if you haven't been joining us, you are missing a lot. We are learning a lot about pregnancy because pregnancy should be a time of joy and not anxiety or fear. And ladies and gentlemen, in a year, so many women, unfortunately, lose their lives or have some other illnesses because of pregnancy, delivery, and post-delivery. And a lot of babies are born dead, over 3 million every year. Some of them die within the first day, some within the first month. And we are trying to learn a lot of things that we can do to help us as women, as families, to ensure that women go through pregnancy successfully and come out healthy with healthy babies. So if you haven't done that yet, please go ahead and check out all the videos that we have put together for you by subscribing to my YouTube channel, Dr. Linda Banotu, the online pregnancy school, and also on Facebook. Follow us, like our page. And remember to also get yourself a copy of the magazine Promise from the Womb. It will do you a lot of good because we have put together what you should know in very simple terms so that you don't miss anything when you are pregnant. Today, we are going to continue with our discussion, and I'm going to do this with a colleague. We're going to talk about after a woman has delivered, something that is very important, which we have to be aware of and help this woman to go through successfully. So I'll introduce my guest for today, Mrs. Charlotte A.C. Myers. I'll ask her to introduce herself briefly to us, and then I'll tell you the topic for today, and we'll start the discussion. So, Auntie Charlotte, you are most welcome. Please introduce yourself briefly to us.
Yes. I'm Charlotte A.C. Myers, a Deputy Chief Clinical Psychologist at Lekma Hospital in Teshi, Accra.
Okay.
So I'm here as a facilitator
for today's meeting.
Yes, for today.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Myers, for finding time to join us. I know that you are very busy, and the topic for today is on postpartum depression. Postpartum simply means after delivery. So after a woman has delivered, she can have what we call postpartum depression. But what is it, Mrs. Myers?
Yeah, postpartum depression is a complex mix of physical, emotional, and behavioral changes that occur after childbirth. And it's attributed to social, chemical, and psychological changes that goes on in the individual. So this is what it is. And it's a major depression, and so it should be taken care of.
Okay. Well, you have used certain words. I'm sure by the time we finish, we would have understood everything, emotional and all that. Please, what are those?
So, but I will talk about it as we go on.
Okay.
I'll really explain what it is as we go
Okay.
on.
Thank you. So please, is this common? Is this something that we should be concerned about? How prevalent is this?
Yes, it's actually common. Globally, it's about 17.2% globally. And when we talk about individual countries, in the Western countries, it occurs among women. It occurs among women from about 10 to 15%. And so it's also a concern. And then when you go to the developing countries, it's rather doubles. It multiplies. So it becomes a bit. It becomes an issue of concern to address, and it also affects men. The men also have it, because when sometimes due to certain factors, it will affect the men in a way. And I think as we go on, I'll talk about that one too, and we'll understand why the men also go through postpartum. So
This is
it's a
very
very
important.
important topic that we are treating today.
Yes, and it's very important that the men are involved, because I'm sure for some men, they think that this is a woman's thing. Pregnancy is for the woman. But if this very important condition can affect them also, then it's good that we know about it. Okay, so do we have types? Are there
Yes,
types of this? Yeah, please take us through.
yes, there are types of postpartum depression. There's the first type I want to talk about is the postpartum blue. The postpartum blues, it affects most of the women, but then it has a short duration, and it affects the women within 24 to 72 hours after birth. And with this one, most of the women after childbirth, you see them crying in between, having depressive moods, and sometimes they become a bit anxious of what is really going to happen to them. But this one, the postpartum blue doesn't last. It just lasts for less than 2 weeks, or just a little above 2 weeks. So that one doesn't last. Then the second one is the postpartum depression, what we are going to talk about now. And this starts from the 4th to 6th week after birth. And here there's excessive crying, there's severe depression and anxiety. The individual may have inappropriate maternal behavior. For example, she will not want to feed the baby, she will not want to handle the baby, and other things, and can last up to a year or more. So this is the postpartum depression we are going to talk about. But when it's untreated, it can also go on to a third state, or a third type, that is the postpartum psychosis. So that is a more reason why we need to talk about postpartum depression, so that we will be very serious at it. Yes. With the postpartum psychosis, it starts after 6 weeks onwards, after 6 weeks of delivery. And here, the individual exhibits most of the signs and symptoms of psychosis. Yes, so I was talking about the types of postpartum depressive states. And I have talked about the fact that the first one I want to talk about is that I spoke about is the postpartum blues. Then the next one is the postpartum depression, which is our topic for today. And with the postpartum depression, the individual experiences this 4 weeks, 4 weeks to 6 weeks after delivery. And here, the individual cries a lot. There's excessive crying, there's severe depression and anxiety, and then there's inappropriate maternal behavior. And I was saying that with this, the mother behaves inappropriately, meaning that she does things that are not really understandable. For example, she will not want to touch the baby. She will not want to feed the baby. She herself will not want to eat. She wouldn't even want to dress up. So many of them. We will get to know it when we get to some of the signs and symptoms. Then this other one also lasts for about a year or over. And then I said that
1 whole year.
Yes, 1 year or more.
Wow.
Yes. And then if it is untreated, it goes on to postpartum psychosis. That means that the individual is now going to exhibit psychotic symptoms. There will be the individual will be paranoid. There will be insomnia, meaning lack of sleep. There will be hallucinations, and this may even go on for a very long time. So that person will have to be admitted. So these are the 3 types we have.
Wow. Mrs. Myers,
so today
please,
we are going to
please, before we continue, you have used some big words like hallucination and things like, what do they mean? Some of the big words in the psychosis.
Yes, when we talk about hallucinations, they are perceptual disturbances that individual experiences. And here the person may hear voices that nobody hears. The person may also see things that other people do not see. So the person will tell you that I'm seeing this person standing there. Meanwhile, nobody sees anything. So it is to him or her, it is to her alone or him alone, because I said the men also experience it. And then the individual may even feel something crawling on her body. We tell her, can't you see ant on my body? But there's no ant too. The person may, that's the tactile hallucination. The individual may even have different tastes. No, you will not even have a, when you give the person something to eat, you tell you this thing, it tastes like sand or something. So we have types of them. You have the visual hallucination. There's the auditory hallucination. That's you hear things that other people do not hear. Then we have the tactile hallucination. That one, you feel things on your body that nobody sees. Then there's the taste as well. So this is all about the hallucination that I'm talking about.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have just joined us today, we are talking about postpartum depression. Postpartum means after a woman has delivered. And my guest is Mrs. Charlotte Myers, a Deputy Chief Clinical Psychologist. And she has told us that it's not just the women who suffer these depressive states after a woman has delivered. The men can also go through. So ladies, it is important that you observe your husband also when you have delivered to see whether any of the things we are going to talk about show up in him, to let you know that he's also going through a challenge, which she will tell us can be managed. And if you haven't done that, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And on Facebook, follow me, The Pregnancy School. It is very important that we learn a lot about pregnancy. Mrs. Myers, having known some of the things that happen, what are the signs and symptoms that we should look out for?
Yeah, so I said we are talking about the postpartum depression, which starts after 4 weeks to 6 weeks of after delivery, 4 weeks to 6 weeks after delivery. And so here the individual may have mood disturbances. When I talk about mood disturbances, I'm talking about a depressive state, depression and other things that affect the mood. The individual's mood may not be so good. And it's also associated with anxiety, excessive fear. Then there's also the issue of loss of interest in the things that the person loves doing. Now the individual may not even wish to do those things anymore. There's loss of appetite. And so it leads to loss of weight. Then there's sleep disturbances. The person may not be able to sleep well. Then also it goes on, there's physical agitation. Here, the person becomes very slow. There's psychomotor slowness. So the person becomes very slow in doing things, even slow in talking. And then the person becomes so easily tired. And so it leads to loss of energy, easily tired. Then there's a feeling of worthlessness. No, the person feels that, oh, there's nothing good in me. I'm not really useful. And that individual may have excessive guilt, inappropriate guilt, things that she hasn't even done. She will attribute it to herself, and other things that she's even to be happy with. She will still think that didn't go well, or she will start blaming herself for things that may not have gone well. Or even those things that have gone well, she will still think there's something wrong with it. Then also there's lack of concentration. And because of that, the individual makes a lot of mistakes and may not even be able to decide well. There's indecisiveness. You will not be able to decide on things well. Then there's recurrent thought of death. The person may feel that, oh, I will die, I will die, I will die. Or she may even want to die by having suicidal thoughts. So
Wow.
these are some of the symptoms that can be found in such individuals.
Wow, these are very important signs and symptoms that you have mentioned, which means that if we actually pay attention to women after they have delivered, we'll be able to pick some of them. Because if you're at home with a pregnant woman, she goes to deliver, and we are told that within 4 to 6 weeks, this can happen. It means whoever is helping this woman must be observant. Ladies and gentlemen, that is why we always say that whilst you are pregnant, it is important to plan for your delivery and after delivery so that you are not on your own. Because if you are staying all by yourself and any of these things go on, nobody may see you. And if you have the idea of trying to harm the baby, you may harm this baby before you become aware that you have harmed your own baby, or you may do something to yourself. Or if you are not able to eat, you are not able to sleep, you have low energy, all these things will affect the way you care for your baby. So it's important that if your wife is pregnant, ladies and gentlemen, or if you are a woman and you are pregnant, or you know anybody who is pregnant, please let the person link up. Let the person sign on to the online pregnancy school and learn some of these things. Because when you go for the antenatal, you can look at the place and see that there are so many pregnant women. Everybody needs attention. So it might not be possible for you to talk about certain things. And we have made this available to you. So please, if you are watching us, kindly subscribe and share. Share as widely as possible. Because if 15% of pregnant women can go through this, you knowing about it can help to save somebody's life. So let us do that, please. This is the online pregnancy school. And today I'm talking to Mrs. Charlotte Myers, a clinical psychologist. And she's telling us about postpartum depressive states. She has mentioned 3, but we are focusing on postpartum depression. Well, that is all for today. I hope you have enjoyed the session and you will share with friends and family. But please, if you haven't done that, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Pregnancy School, Dr. Linda Vanutu, and on Facebook, The Pregnancy School. It will do you a lot of good to do that. We'll see you in our next video where we'll bring you another important topic for you and for your family. See you. Remember to get yourself a copy of the magazine, Promise from the Womb. If you want a copy, just send me a WhatsApp message on the same number, +2335924200625. And if you need any follow-on discussions, you want to see the clinical psychologist, please send us a WhatsApp message to the same number, and Mrs. Myers will be happy to see you. Thank you so much for your attention. See you in our next video. Bye.